Hello, and welcome to the Angus and Pete Show. Views and opinions are strictly those of the presenters and their guests and should not be taken as advice. Goodness knows, we're not qualified to advise you about anything. Side effects may include mild amusement and occasional enlightenment with feelings of embarrassment, apathy, disappointment, and pity.
Welcome to episode 35. I'm Angus Pacey.
And I'm Pete Brown, and we are the Angus and Pete Show.
The place where you can listen to two guys chatting about this riveting world of customer engagement.
That's customer engagement, otherwise known as call centre, contact centre, customer service, customer experience, CX, or whatever else you want to be calling it this week.
And if you want to know more about us, then just check us out on LinkedIn.
This is another one of our recaps, Angus, where we group together some of our episodes that have a common theme, a common thread, for those people who are just too busy and important to listen to the episodes in their magnificent original form.
So we're going to do a few of these to keep you going while we decide what we're going to do, or if we're going to do a season 2.
We are going to do season 2, let's face it. Our public are demanding it.
So, public, please let us know what you would like us to talk about if we're going to do a season 2.
Yeah, let us know. In this final recap, we've got a massive topic to cover. The words that are on everyone's lips all the time, all day, every day. Artificial intelligence. But we don't call it artificial intelligence because that takes too long to say. So we keep banging on about AI all the time. And we covered AI. In fact, we mentioned AI, I think, in most of the episodes that we did, but we really focused on it in episodes 8, 15 and 23.
You know, we hear about AI everywhere. Just done an event that was focused solely on AI, just about.
Yeah.
It's in the news. Every vendor is talking about it. Analysts are talking about it. But what we did was we kind of unpacked what the real story looked like in those episodes. How's it really changing things in the world of customer experience in the contact center? Let's just dive into that a little bit today.
So we found a couple of examples of where businesses had rushed into AI to implement it and then didn't see what they were expecting. We mentioned a Gartner report in one of our episodes, which basically said, yeah, great, we're implementing it, but do you know what? It's not showing us the returns we're expecting, so we're actually backing off on some of these big strategic investments, and we're going to just wait and see what's going on. And there was another very interesting study from Denmark, an academic study from Denmark. Wake up, Angus.
Not a vendor study.
No, an academic study from Danish academics. I know that sounds like it might be a little bit boring. It made some interesting points. It was called the Large Language Models Small Labour Market Effects Study. You can Google it. And it looked at how AI, particularly AI-powered chatbots, affect jobs. And what was interesting to me was that they surveyed something like 25,000 workers across 7,000 workplaces. And a lot of those workers were customer service agents and people working in contact centres.
I mean, that's a huge sample size. So while it's only one country, I think it's a mega sample size. But what did they actually find? Because there's a load of talk about AI taking jobs.
What they actually discovered was AI did not significantly change how much money workers made or how many hours they worked.
So there weren't mass layoffs or massive pay cuts for agents then?
No, not according to this study. They found that while AI chatbots did save a little bit of time, it was around 4%, 3.9% of work hours, which is actually minuscule in the scheme of things. That's not going to fly too high in a boardroom, is it, in terms of business case? It also created new tasks. And those new tasks required workers to be using AI effectively to handle them. Without employers actively encouraging their employees to use AI and use it effectively, the efficiency gains dropped to about 2%. So they got half the efficiency gain if they didn't empower and train and get behind their staff using AI to do the manual tasks that they were already up to.
It's interesting that you talk about that because we recorded that episode a long time ago. I mean, it feels like a decade ago. That was absolutely borne out in presentations that I saw vendors giving and customers giving last week.
Right.
So this study is not that far off the mark at all because it's now starting to manifest itself in the business.
Yeah.
But if you really think about it, that's not a lot of minutes in an 8-hour day. So you're talking about 10 or 20 minutes benefit
Yeah, it's a thin case. What was also an interesting part of this was that a significant number of the people who were surveyed, and remember a lot of them were customer service workers, around 60% of them said that AI did actually improve the quality of their work, made them more efficient, more effective, and in some cases more creative. But it only really showed benefits to the business when employers got right behind their staff and made AI part of the toolkit and the process and the working day routinely. It just became the way that they did business.
So it's got to be part of the DNA of the company, which is a mega change. So it's not just about deploying the technology.
No.
You got to think about how you're going to be investing in the people and the culture around that. But if you're looking for huge cuts in labor costs, this study suggested that the evidence is just not there yet. It's about making agents more effective and more efficient. And also, unintended consequence maybe, even reducing churn because the people are finding their jobs are more rewarding. So
Right.
if you can make an agent's experience a bit better, customer experience is probably going to be better too because the people are happier in what they're doing.
And that brings us nicely on to how the implementation of AI technology in customer-facing environment is affecting the way that we measure customer sat and customer experience. For a long time, it's all been about metrics like average handle time and how quickly can you get stuff done. That's been the measure of success. And as you know, I've always been a bit sceptical about that one.
That debate is now popped out into the public domain. They heard it on the Angus and Pete show, and now they're talking about it. In one of the episodes, you told a great story about why fast is not always best when it comes to customer service.
Yes, that was the Dell laptop story, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, that's it, yeah. The point of that story when you were telling it was you went through all these processes, got escalated to a human, went through a whole load of processes, solved the problem ultimately. But the fact that it solved the problem wasn't what made it a good customer experience. It was the fact that you could do it at your pace, and the fact that it took 3 weeks was totally irrelevant.
Right, and that is the bottom line. I went through this process. There was a whole load of stuff that I did. You know, you can imagine it's an IT help desk process. So I had to do various bits and pieces and send a log file and do this stuff. It was all very slick. It was all very nice in the WhatsApp channel. Automation was there, but the elapsed time from start to finish was 3 weeks. If you looked at that in traditional customer service contact center measurement, that would be a disaster.
Yeah.
3 weeks, multiple contacts, in and outbound. Nightmare. No, it wasn't. It was very nice. It was very nicely paced, and I got what I wanted out of it, which is why I mention it a lot. Why I mentioned Dell, because they did a bloody good job. I liked it.
So what you're saying effectively is quick isn't always best.
No, I mean, my wife does say to me that I'm not the best lover she's ever had, but I am certainly the quickest. So I don't know whether quick is always best or not. But ultimately, yeah, you're right. The pace at which the customer wants to do business is the right pace. If that's quickly, then fine. If it's not so quickly, then that's fine too.
That makes you a walking net promoter score.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, net promoter score and customer satisfaction score, customer effort score. Out of those, the most important one is customer effort score. Because from a customer experience, it's about how easy was it for me as a consumer to get the help I needed at the right time or get the job done. It must be easy. It must be seamless. It must be hassle-free. And I think that's what AI can really do. If it's done properly, it can really help simplify those interactions and also facilitate no contact resolution.
Yeah.
Now you can point customers to the right information at that point of need. And if somebody's looking for a simple answer, you can point them at an FAQ that's always been there, but everybody doesn't read until they need it.
So AI is changing the game. So with AI, you could make an assumption that the agent's time on the phone or in front of a keyboard or on a chat isn't the defining factor anymore. So then you start to look at what metrics really matter. We've already mentioned ease, so customer effort score, but then you get into things like, you know, looking at how you can be proactive, looking at real-time information and using that within the context of an ongoing contact to make things better and tweak the experience. So instead of looking at what happened yesterday, we can now understand what's happening now. And actually, we can make some predictions about what might happen moving forward, particularly with things like sentiment analysis. So AI can give you absolute laser beam precision in the moment around what's going on to help you guide the journey, but certainly to help you measure it. It's expensive stuff though, right? So you've got to make sure that you've got a great handle on how much it costs and where the benefits come from.
Yeah. Being able to forecast if a customer is likely to churn is really, really powerful, because if a customer is highly emotional, you don't send people like that to your newest, least experienced employee that doesn't know how to fix the problem. You send them to somebody who knows exactly how to disarm them, but also at least explain that they are really trying to help you and they're going to do the best for you at that point. So AI can really help with that sort of kind of intelligent routing and real-time coaching for agents. I think it's got a really good place there.
Yeah, so the automation piece, absolutely, we all know and love, and the helping the people that are in the front line, increasingly dealing with people that have come out at the end of an automated process and are still unsatisfied, making them better at their jobs, absolutely what it does. So AI sounds fantastic, doesn't it? It sounds like it's delivering all the benefits, it's balancing automation, and it's not putting people out of work, it's actually helping them to do a better job when they're there. But as with anything, there's this whole thing around risk, and actually there's this whole thing around cost. I was speaking to somebody today who shall remain nameless, who was telling me that he'd just been part of a team who has looked at all of the CX vendors' AI offerings in EMEA, Europe, Middle East and Africa. Something like 30 vendors. And apart from them all sounding the same, none of them have got a handle on a compelling commercial offer, because it's pure consumption, pay per use. Businesses don't like that. Businesses don't like the uncertainty of that. So what can we say about the commercials around this stuff?
So what you're describing is Bill Shock 2.0. Let's all be realistic about it. If we're talking about costs, we're not just talking about that kind of upfront platform licensing costs. Now, that ranges from $120 to $200 per agent per month. Substitute euros for that, for those of you in the European Union. Add in advanced AI features and usage-based costs that can vary wildly at the moment, from 50 cents to $1.25, $1.75 per minute for voice, or pennies per text. And then you consider generative AI and speech analytics, then costs become even more complex and difficult to predict. And I think we're going to go through a period of time where people are going to be in test mode to see exactly what these costs look like and are they real, do they see the benefits?
Yeah, and the running costs are one thing, but you've also got implementation and integration, which can be a minefield. You know, all this stuff is up in the cloud, isn't it? It's all on someone else's computer. So custom AI projects are things that, well, even for small pilots, are running into the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars from a professional services perspective. Especially if your existing systems are a train wreck and your data's all over the place and it's all just a bit shit. Don't expect AI to make it any better. You'll just end up with a bigger, highly automated pile of poo.
What is a cock-up today? You're going to make an even faster cock-up.
Yeah, exactly. A faster cock-up.
I think a lot of the vendors don't talk enough about and don't think enough about where the data lives that needs to interact and feed these systems. Yeah. Most organizations have got ancient, and I think I'm being really kind here, duplicated, inaccurate data. It's all siloed across different systems. And the reality is, if your data is not up to scratch, particularly when it's commercially sensitive, you've got another car crash waiting to happen. You know, garbage in, garbage out. And the cost of fixing that problem will make implementation costs pale into absolute insignificance.
And when you let AI's huge scale and speed capabilities loose in that environment, you have really got to understand your compliance and your legal risks. You know, there's been some amusing and horrific stories about AI going rogue with data. But you remember GDPR, the thing that no one talks about anymore, which was a big deal when we all moved from on-prem into the cloud. There's a similar thing coming. I don't think we've quite got a handle on it yet. All of this means if you haven't got human oversight of what AI is up to, you are just locking it in a cupboard and letting it mark its own homework, which is a very scary thing.
There's something even more scary. And that's the elephant in the room that everybody's kind of forgetting about at the moment. Sustainability and the environment. And this is becoming a topic. And I think AI, especially those big AI engines, the large language models, consume enormous amounts of power.
Yeah.
Space, connectivity, cooling, and the amount of water needed for cooling alone is changing rapidly. And quite interesting, I saw one analyst turn around and he said, the numbers that we're talking about at the moment are still estimates. It's very difficult to absolutely say with any certainty the numbers are accurate. But he said there's a fair chance they could be even worse.
Yeah.
And when we were doing those episodes originally, there was a statistic that we quoted: by the end of 2026, global data centers will be using more power than Japan consumes an entire year.
Yeah, it is.
For those of you that want to know how much Japan consumes in an entire year, it's somewhere around 880 terawatts.
Mm.
I mean, the numbers are just mind-boggling.
Yeah, they are mind-boggling. And then a more understandable number is, while we were recording these last 35 episodes or so, from an early episode, we spoke about 30 ChatGPT inquiries using a glass of water from a cooling perspective. And that went up to a litre in the 6 or 9 months since we started episode 1. So yeah, it's all on the move, and we should keep an eye on it.
Yeah, and you've got to factor it in because it is going to become a mega topic. The latest statistic that I came across today, that it says for every single query that you send to ChatGPT, that consumes a teaspoon of clean water.
Right. Every single time you hit the return button. Wow.
Every single query. So
I'll measure that. I'll set up a teaspoon glass of water scenario tomorrow, and every time I use it, which is quite a lot, we'll go. So you know what? I think people might think we're a bit negative about AI. We're not. I just want to balance the happy clappy blind faith brigade out there that just run along and say, yeah, buy our AI, it will solve all your problems. No, it won't. People are beginning to realise it won't. We need to get real about its capabilities and its impacts. We're not being negative. We're just pointing out the bleeding obvious.
Especially if you're going to go and sell this in the boardroom, somebody in that boardroom is going to be thinking about this stuff because it's their job.
Yeah, be open, be honest. There are problems that need to be solved. AI can help, but it can also create its own problems, and understanding them really creates opportunities to engage with businesses and demonstrate how you as a vendor can do a better job than the competition. Let's summarise the takeaways.
If anybody's looking at AI in customer engagement space, here's what you really need to think about. First one, I think, is AI hasn't made a massive impact on pay or hours in the CX or contact center space yet. Right now, it's more about enabling humans to be more effective and efficient rather than just replacing them.
Whilst there are time savings and quality improvements, they're only realisable when employers are actively supporting and encouraging and training their workers to use AI properly as part of their day-to-day process.
Yeah, and the flip side of that, customer experience is evolving. It will enable more personalised interactions at scale. And new metrics are going to evolve and become more important. Sentiment analysis, predictive analytics are really important. And they all tie back to how easy is it to interact with the organization. And if you can make it easy, customer experience goes up.
Yeah. When you hear the word AI, be very mindful of the significant costs and risks and the ethical considerations that go with it. And that includes platform costs, implementation, data quality, compliance, the environmental impact. All of those things we've spoken about come together. And you can't look at these things in isolation. You've got to look at the whole picture or you'll miss the true cost of implementing AI.
Yeah, and if an organization wants to see the true benefits of AI, they've got to absolutely recognize it's a strategic investment and a cultural change is going to be required within the organization. This is not a tactical plug and play. Now, this is not going down to the local Amazon Dropbox and picking up a new USB widget.
Finally, no one's got all the answers. No one's got all the answers. We're all learning. This is a rapidly evolving space, and the best way to learn is to talk to each other. And those conversations need to be open and they need to be honest. And sellers and buyers, particularly sellers, in the CX space right now, have a part to play. There's too much fluff. There's too much bullshit. There's too much blind faith. We need to start grounding the conversations around points that we've mentioned in this podcast.
Yeah, ultimately, it's about focusing on the business issues first. Don't lead with the tech, and then really tie it all together by focusing and understanding what those desired outcomes are for the business. And if you think about everything we've just spoken about and that we covered in those episodes, then you've got a fighting chance of developing not only a really good relationship between seller and buyer, but actually making a success of it.
I think that's it for this recap episode. I think we've done a pretty good job of boiling it down, and I hope that's given the people listening to this podcast food for thought on AI in customer engagement and CX and contact center. Follow the Angus and Pete Show page on LinkedIn for news and notifications, and message us directly to tell us what you think, how we're doing, and keep the postbag bulging.
Everybody should know by now the show's available on all the favourite podcast platforms, so go and listen, subscribe and share. Help us spread the word and feed our egos. Are we going to do a joke of the week, or are you going to bottle it 2 weeks in a row?
I'm not, I'm still not in the mood. I'm not feeling it. Are we going to say then, this is the final episode of season 1?
Yeah, I think we should.
Then we're going to take a short break. Then we're going to do season 2. Is that what we're saying?
Then we go hell for leather on season 2.
So, dear listener, this episode is the final episode of season 1 or series 1, depending on your preference. Look out for season 2.
Yeah.
So with that, it's time to say cheers, Angus.
Cheers, Pete.
Thanks for tuning in to the Angus and Pete Show. Remember, it's based on the personal views and opinions of the hosts and their guests. If you're feeling aggrieved or litigious, take a chill pill. There's already enough stress in the world. Don't forget to follow our page on LinkedIn and subscribe on your favourite podcast platform for more episodes. We'll see you next time. Oh, and tell your friends.